Good morning, students. As you can see, even today the NCRT website is not working, so I cannot show pages and I cannot go paragraph by paragraph through the screen. But let's get on with it. Page number 163. Yesterday we saw the position of women, how women were adjusting into this modern way of life in Europe. Of course, we have already covered the significance of printing and how the human civilization, in particularly in Europe, they had started expanding their horizons now from just worrying about 3 meals a day. They had now started venturing into architecture, science, technology, mathematics, sculpture, painting. So all kinds of things had started happening. Now, naturally, any kind of change, it's not that it is resisted all the time, but it also confuses people. It opens up a whole can of worms because it throws so many questions at you, at the society, at the communities that are involved, that there is bound to be a debate whereby certain section of people would agree, certain section of people would disagree with the change or with the pace of change. And that is what we would be covering in this topic. Page number 163, debates within Christianity, because Europe then was a Christian society predominantly, and so naturally there were debates within the church and the followers of Christianity, of course. Trade and travel, military conquests, and diplomatic contacts linked Italian towns and courts with the world beyond. The new culture was admired and imitated by the educated and the wealthy. Very few of the new ideas filtered down to the ordinary man who, after all, could not read or write. So, as you can see, it gives you a clear idea about that. The printing technology might have exploded on the scene, but yes, it was still to take roots and it was still to have the effect at the lower strata of the society. It was only the upper strata, the middle class, that was reading books and transforming their thinking and their lives. But deep in the lower sections of the society, the change was very, very far off. But students, it is not just that these kind of changes do not happen overnight, and these changes take a lot of time. Who would know this better than we Indians, whereby even today 100% literacy has been eluding us for a very long time. The government spends enormous amount of money to ensure that the education standards, especially in rural India, improves. But yes, we're doing good, but we are not yet there. So even today, with today's technology and today's resources, it is not so easy. So you can very well understand what would have been the situation 500, 600 to 700 years ago, whether even if it was Europe. And you got to understand, at that point in time, Europe was exactly like today's Africa. Okay. Yes, it is difficult to believe, but yes, that's what it was. So mm, in the 15th and early 16th centuries, many scholars in universities in Northern Europe were attracted to humanist ideas. Like their Italian colleagues, they too focused on classical Greek and Roman texts, along with the holy books of the Christians. But unlike Italy, where professional scholars dominated the humanist movement, in Northern Europe, humanism attracted many members of the church. They called on Christians to practice religion in a way laid down in the ancient texts of their religions, discarding unnecessary rituals which they condemned as later additions to a simple religion. Theirs was a radical new view of human beings as free and rational agents. Later philosophers were to return to this over and over again, inspired by the belief in a distant God who created man but allowed him complete freedom of his life. To live his life freely in pursuit of happiness here and now. So, the humanism, students, when you hear humanism, it is what exactly is humanism here? It is essentially trying to tell you that humans were very independent and free when in the early stages of their evolution. That is, they would just have to worry about 3 meals a day. They would hunt, they would come back, sleep in the caves, would have some animal skin as cloth, or probably the tree leaves as cloth, and that's how they would cover themselves. And then they would, that's just a very, very normal, simple life where everyone was friend and there was nothing to worry about except the food for yourself and your family. But then gradually got this the whole situation started becoming complex, and then religion, as students, now let me not get into excessive details of this, but then humans have always had a certain sense of divinity, a certain sense of a power which was much more uh, supreme and much beyond them, a power that controlled everything. The humans, for some very strange reason, always had this thing that yes, there was definitely something beyond them. There was something much more powerful than them, something that controlled everything. This sense was always there, inherently there. No one has an idea why is it so and why was it so, because in the early times, people did not live in towns and cities, or even villages for that matter, where even today villages would mean at least 50,000 people. In those years, in those days, villages would barely mean 50 people. So even then, they did not have that sense of religion as we know it today, but they always had a sense of some divine power. And gradually, as the situation became more and more complex, the mainstream religions, that is their bureaucracy, that is the in our case, if you see about, even it holds true even for our Sanatan civilization of Indian subcontinent, whereby gradually the mainstream religions, their bureaucracies, their priests, their pujaris, their pandits, and all these kind of people gradually started becoming more and more powerful, more and more influential. They started coming up with their own rules for the game, own different kinds of rules, different kinds of scriptures. This is what is to be done, this is what is not to be done, the do's and don'ts, and it kept on piling, and it kept making the whole life very, very complicated and difficult for the people who were the adherents, the people who used to follow that faith. And this is the same thing, whether it happened in the earliest of the civilizations, whether in Egypt or whether in India or anywhere for that matter. And now this problem is prevalent even in the Christian world of Europe, whereby when Jesus Christ started this faith of Christianity, it was just about a very simple faith about submission to God, the Supreme Father, and that's what it was. But after centuries and centuries, there was whole amount of complexity that started coming up around this. This is what is to be done, that is what is not to be done. This is how it should be. Now everything had become status based. If you were rich, suddenly gods were more favorable to you, and definitely you had far more leverage than a poor man, a peasant, or a vassal for that matter, who didn't have money. So naturally, the gods had no time for those kind of people. So church was deciding that right from how what should be the name, the baptism, where should be buried. Then the situation became to a pass whereby there would be separate graveyards for the different status people. So all that definitely must not have been there, and definitely was not there when Christianity started. Then it would have been everyone was equal in the eyes of God, but not anymore, as the complexities, religious complexities, the bureaucratic complexities within faith started growing up. And this is what the people gradually, by 14th and 15th century, the humanists, many of them started realizing that now it was far more complex and complicated, and rather than opening the spiritual world, it was closing the roads and the path of spiritualism, because it was now creating discrimination and discord within different sections of the society, and that needed to be taken care of. And many felt that people had to go back to the roots, that is care about the human rather than the status of the human, whereby every human was same, everyone was the son of God, and everyone had to be treated with respect. Every life was important. Now, this is something which and people had the same rights, and it would not be desirable to say that uh, mm, uh, the aristocrats would have more rights, the clergy would have more rights, the poor people would have lesser rights. No, because if everyone was equal and same in the eyes of God, even the rights have to be same, right? So this is what some humanists and quite a good number of people in Europe started now realizing it. They started writing about it. And many people started taking keen interest in reading about those things that were being written, which definitely was facilitated by the invention of printing technology. Now the papers could be printed, the books could be printed, and fresh idea was floated that yes, uh, uh, we need to get back to the old ways, the simple ways, when the Greeks, the Romans, those years of civilization, whereby the complexity of religion definitely was not there. Of course, students throughout the rich have been having more privileges, but that is fine. But nothing beyond that. Okay, so Christian humanists like Thomas More in England and Erasmus in Holland felt that the church had become an institution marked by greed, extorting money at will from ordinary people. One of the favorite methods of the clergy was to sell indulgences, documents which apparently freed the buyer from the burden of the sins he had committed. Christians came to realize from printed translation of the Bible in local language that their religion did not permit certain practices, or rather such practices. So it's so funny, yeah, and stupid actually, and you can understand how how complicated things had become and how commercial the things had become. That's why this word has been used here, extorting money at will from ordinary people. One of the favorite methods, that is, just imagine, if you are a wealthy person, what this is essentially telling you is that a wealthy person during the end of his life, whatever sins he might have been committing over those 40, 50, 60, 70 years, all that debauchery that he might have been indulging in, and all the killings and looting, everything, but in the end, on your deathbed, you could actually purchase a certificate from the church which would absolve you. That would, in fact, mean it would declare you innocent of all the crimes that you might have committed, and that would say that now you are a pure person. They were actually issuing certificates in return for money, as if once you die in a few days or weeks, the, that the first thing that Jesus Christ would be looking at you is not your soul, but your certificate, which was sanctioned by the local church. So that's how stupid the things had become, and people wanted to change that. Thank you.